Peter?
It's a lot of soldiers on both sides, I agree. Do you, Mr. President, think that Vladimir Putin is taking advantage of the U.S. pause right now on intelligence and military aid to Ukraine?
No, I actually think he's doing what anybody else would do. I think he wants to get it stopped and settled, and I think he's hitting them harder than he's been hitting them. And I think probably anybody in that position would be doing that right now. He wants to get it ended, and I think Ukraine wants to get it ended, but I don't see it's crazy. They're taking tremendous punishment. I don't quite get it, but I suspect, Michael, he probably wants to get it ended.
He does, Mr. President. The Russians are taking incredible losses on the front. As the president has said, this is a meat grinder of people, of material, of national treasure, and no one else has any solutions except to let this war continue forever. But I'll add.
Okay, that's President Trump today in the White House, along with National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, once again lying and spreading propaganda and falsities about Russia, about Ukraine, about all of it. But that's what they do. I'm solo this week. This is Fred, to talk about what I'm calling the Trump three-step right now, okay? It's the propaganda, it's the fear, and it leads to division. And those are the three steps they want us to feel. They want us to be affected by their propaganda. They want people to feel afraid, and they want us to be divided. So I thought I'd spend some time talking about that today. We haven't had a solo in a while. I thought it'd be fun. So welcome to the MeidasTouch Network. I am Fred Wellman. Let's get on with the show. Welcome. I am Fred Wellman, host of On Democracy FP Wellman, right here exclusively on the MeidasTouch Network every Friday night. I'm glad to see you here. Always good to see the Meidas Mighty. A lot going on in the world, and we're going to go through a little bit of it, but I kind of want to go in a direction maybe you haven't seen. Maybe you've seen some of these clips, maybe you haven't, maybe you heard the news, but I want to tie it all together for you in a way that is the point of this show. The defense of our democracy now. It's funny, for a long time the show was about the things that are great about our democracy, the things that can be improved. Now we're just flat out defending this damn thing because we've got an all-out assault. There's key pieces of that assault. There's the lies that have to be spread. There's the fear and intimidation. And, a lot of us said when Donald Trump was running for office again, that he was going to rule as an autocrat, that he intended to be a fascist, that he intended to be an authoritarian. And we were right. There's no question about that. There's no doubt about it. Just today, they sent a letter to Columbia University saying they're not going to send $400 million in grants because they're not doing enough to curb anti-Semitism. They also are cutting off money. They sent an intimidating letter to Georgetown Law School, the local attorney, the acting AD and AG in Washington, saying they heard they were practicing DEI in the law school, to intimidate them. This is what they're doing to spread the lies and spread the fear. So let's walk through. I want to walk you through first. Well, the lies. Let's start with the propaganda that's being spread. And I'm a veteran, so I talk a lot about veterans issues, but I think veterans issues are a great place to cut a military, because we're kind of the canary in the coal mine a lot of times. If you haven't heard me say it 1,000 times, I'm shocked, but I always say the volunteer military, the modern military, and our veterans are a direct reflection of our society. But we offer sort of a microcosm that can be studied very well, because the great thing about veterans is we talk. And so we kind of see what's going on, and we share it with others. So last week, and this is from last week actually, Doug Collins, who's the VA secretary, did this little video, and we're going to watch it, and then I got to talk a little bit about what it does. Let's watch what Doug was talking about here. It's
been fast paced, and I keep coming to you with what we're doing, and today I've got a number. I got some big news for you. And look, this is why we talk about efficiency and getting the job done for veterans here at the VA. Right now, I've just been told we are just the first step of almost $2 billion. That's billion with a B. That we found in contracts that are cutting. Those are things that we're saving now that we can put back into healthcare benefits, making sure that we're doing what the VA is supposed to do, and that is health and veterans benefits. Stands to reason. But hey, you got to see this. I've been giving this report. It says we were taking millions of contracts in dollars in contracts to create things like PowerPoint slide and meeting minutes. Folks, if you don't know how to run PowerPoint slides, learn. It's a tutorial on your computer. Go learn for free. It's okay. Take your own notes. Wow, I'll send you one of my pencils if you need one, but we're not paying millions of dollars for consultants to do this for us. Also, I found out coaching and training. Millions of dollars in contracts for coaching and training. If you need coaching and training, that's what you have in a supervisor. And if your supervisor...
Okay, I'm stopping that because I can't stand his voice, okay? Hi, folks, you need help? Come on, I'll send you a pencil. With those bullshit shtick, his southern shtick, about how he's great. That's Doug Collins. And here's the punchline, that whole story. So what happened was Doge went in, identified a contract, NAICS contract, NAICS contract line, and decided that things that said consulting on them should be canceled. So they made 800 contracts, and they went to the contract folks at VA and cut them all. Well, the contracts in there also included the contracts to clean all the medical equipment, to tune them like MRIs and CAT scans. They also canceled the contract in there that handled all of the veterans when we apply for our benefits. For example, me last year, when I asked for an upgrade to my disability rating, an outside contractor, handled the physician appointments, getting my paperwork straight, and sending it to VA for final evaluation, thus taking it off VA's plate and make it going faster. The punch on that story, that beautiful lie, holding his piece of paper, his propaganda, folks, we're saving. These guys never looked at what they were cutting. And the very next day, they had to roll back. With a week later, they had to issue a new letter. Now, I still haven't had a chance to look at now they're hiding what contracts they cut this time. But it was not $2 billion, and it going down to $98 million. Because it turned out those contracts were necessary. But they got veterans all worked up. Like, oh my God, we're paying for PowerPoint slides. We're paying for training. That's crazy. When it's training to meet federal guidelines for medical, like doctors, for example, getting their annual training. Because as you know, professional healthcare people have to be certified. To get your certification, you have to have training. Those are the kind of things these guys cut. But with that ridiculous propaganda, and this Collins guy sent a video out like almost every day with this kind of bullshit. Folks, let me tell you what's really going on here. Every day, and all the cabinet secretaries are participating in this cosplay, actual cosplay from Kristi Noem. If you saw her pictures with her hair extensions and her beautiful cosplay outfit in Arlington, Virginia, one of the safest counties in America. And then there's the outright lies. This is one that came out this week, actually the last week or so, and enraged veterans.
President starting to think about maybe some of those veterans who worked for the federal government and maybe what the administration can do to at least help salvage their lives?
Well, as you know, we care about veterans tremendously. I mean, that's something the president has always cared about. Anybody in blue, anybody that serves this country. But at the same time, we have taxpayer dollars. We have a fiscal responsibility to use taxpayer dollars to pay people that actually work. That doesn't mean that we forget our veterans by any means. We are going to care for them in the right way, but perhaps they're not fit to have a job at this moment or not willing to come to work. And we can't, I wouldn't take money from you and pay somebody and say, sorry, they're not going to come to work. It's just not acceptable.
They just smeared 6,000 vets in 10 seconds. What she's saying is that they fired people who refused to come to work. Outright lie. And a propaganda tool they're using over and over. Because what they're doing actually is they're firing probationary employees, many who are in probationary periods because they got promoted to a new job. And they're saying that they didn't meet federal standards for work. It's a lie. The unions have sued about it. Some of our partners, partner organizations I work with, like VoteVets, have sued about it. But there's the lie, okay? The lie is that these people who were fired, well, they deserved to be fired, because they weren't working hard enough. They weren't coming to work. That's the lie. The lie that goes out there and is spread and used against us. And look, it's not just these fools that are doing it. You got to have your outside agencies, and we could probably spend a day. And there's folks right here on the MeidasTouch network that spend all day having to watch Fox News. We've had Julia Jetsky on the show. She watched decoding Fox News. But they wouldn't be able to do any of this without their willing propagandists to participate. So today you heard that the jobs numbers were absolute crap, okay? The jobs numbers are collapsing. The market's collapsing because these ridiculous tariffs on, tariffs off, tariffs on, tariffs off. This is how so catch what Maria says at the beginning of her little clip this morning on Fox News.
Anyway, that's why I said earlier it would be Biden's recession. And I know the haters out there will slam me later. The other day I said something and they went nuts on me on Twitter, on X. I said, well, how come I don't see any Dodge Rams or Dodge pickup trucks in Europe? And they went nuts on it. But it's true. I see all the Mercedes and the Audis and the whole 9 yards here in America, but I don't see any of the American-made cars there. That's it. That's the point I was making, Steve.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. I mean,
you're laughing. You don't see an American trucks in Europe, because because they don't want to buy our fucking trucks. We eat gas, and gas is expensive there. Okay. The point though is Biden's recession. We are 2 months into Trump's administration, and they're still trying to blame Biden, who handed him a robust and successful economy with 6 months or 60 months, a ridiculous number of record unemployment numbers, low unemployment numbers, and they've already busted that and are heading back up again. And they still want to blame Biden for that. They're going to blame Biden for the whole 4 years. But it's all lies. Look, this was the plan, okay? We talked about this. That was always going to be about cutting federal employees. We'll talk more about that in a minute, here in a little bit. But here's the other part of propaganda and lies that has to work for authoritarians to succeed. And that's erasing history and changing the truth. And that's what's going on right now at DOD. You may have heard about this story. But what's going on is over at DOD, they have managed to start a purge of all the social media in the DoD. They ordered all the social media channels, and you may have seen some of these. Like if you follow any military web page or Facebook page, for example, or Twitter, they put up some little graphic saying the content here is being adjusted in accordance with presidential directives. So what they've done is they're saying that because of the DEI, anti-DEI memos that went out for the presidential orders, they are actually having them purge thousands of posts, upwards of 100,000 posts from social. That's how obsessed they are about this erasing history. They're going through, but here's where it gets I wanted to spend some time on this one because it's so monumentally stupid what they're doing. And this is classic. So you see this first one. That is a young lady. She's a Marine Corps. She's in the Marines. She is one of the first Marine Corps infantry platoon leaders. And this is a picture that's one of the pictures that's been designated for being erased. And y'all, I can't make this up. That's the Enola Gay, the bomber that dropped the bomb on Hiroshima in 1945. Enola Gay is maimed. You see Colonel Paul Tibbets there. Colonel Paul Tibbets was the pilot of Enola Gay. His mother's name was Enola Gay. That's what that's named after, okay? The Enola Gay was named after his mother. But since it says the word gay in it, that's been targeted by this mass deletion. They're literally talking about deleting the photos of the bomber from World War II named Enola Gay, and anybody's got the name Gay, because that's what they're forcing these guys to do, because they told the social media managers they had till this week, Wednesday, to delete all of this stuff. But look, that's the ridiculous part, but here's the terrifying parts. Any mention of diversity and within the force or success of minorities in the force. These two posts right here are posts talking about, let's see, on the right there, on the first one, on the family, all 4 Latino service members honored during Latino History Month or Hispanic History Month. There on the right is, of course, the Women's History Month recognition from Air Force Base. Those have been targeted for deletion because they just honor the contributions of women and minorities to service. So they're going to delete those. To what end? Okay, you ask yourself. Well, they're deleting history. This is the terrifying stuff. That's a picture on the left of a Tuskegee airman speaking to airmen at Air Force Base during Black History Month. They've even targeted for deletion these photos that are there of World War II Tuskegee airmen working on airplanes. And on the bottom there, one of the Moffett Marines who won a medal for, I don't know if he was a Medal of Honor winner, but Medal of Honor recipient for heroics. They're deleting Medal of Honor heroes because it talks about them being Black or Hispanic. So who's going to get honored? Well, just white people, I guess. That's the only thing I can assume. And that's what they're doing, okay? They're erasing history and just reconfiguring it so that we only get their version. I mean, have you ever thought of a more fascist thing on earth? I mean, that whole story is shocking to me because I used to be a public affairs guy in the Army. But the idea that they're erasing historic achievements by minorities and women just to rewrite a white history under the guise of saying, well, this is about not placing someone else above someone else. Are you fucking kidding me with this stuff? Just honoring women serving makes them better than the white males? Give me a fucking break with this. But that's the fascist propaganda we're dealing with. And that's where we're going. And it goes on from there. And there's more. Now, what's the next step in the 3-step dance? Well, that's going to be intimidation and fear. Let's talk about that. We're going to take a brief sponsor break. We're going to come back about intimidation and fear and have that conversation next. Are you ready to optimize your nutrition for the new year? We're 3 months into it and spring's right around the corner. Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes. So you can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws you. Because Factor arrives fresh, fully prepared, right to your door. It's perfect for any active and busy lifestyle. You know I have one. I'm back at it again. I'm walking and the weather's warming up. I'm getting my 3 to 4 miles of hikes in every week with 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week. It's really easy to pick meals that are tailored to your goals. You can choose your preferences from Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, which I love, or Keto. All these will help you lose weight, eat right, and keep moving. And they have a host of other options from drinks to snacks. I love the Gouda chicken. The smoky Gouda chicken is so freaking, I mean, honestly, the thing I like about Factor meals is they really are delicious. They're quick and easy to make. I do it between shoots. You know, I've got a busy lifestyle. I can get them in. And what always shocks me every time I plop down to have a Factor meal is how delicious they are. They're real food. It's real food delivered fresh right to your door. So you can eat smart with Factor. Just get started at factormeals.com/Factor Podcast and use code Factor Podcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That again, so you didn't miss it. It's right on the screen, by the way. That's Factor Podcast and code Factor Podcast. Use it today. Again, 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Thrilled to have Factor as a sponsor, and frankly, bit of a fan. Thanks. Welcome back. Thanks to our sponsors. So how are they going to do this? The next piece of this puzzle, after they have propaganda and lies, is to intimidate folks. New York Times had an extensive story about this week, going on and on about how the fear spreading within Washington, D.C. After 6 weeks, there's a chill spreading over political debate. Fired federal workers are worried about losing their homes, are asking not to be quoted by name in newspaper stories. University presidents are fearing that millions of dollars of federal funding could disappear, so they're holding their fire. And we just talked about that, right? We talked about the fact that they've got Columbia University just lost funding. They're attacking Georgetown and others, losing millions of dollars of funding. So they've got these university presidents and university professors keeping their mouths shut. We've got chief executives alarmed by tariffs also keeping their fires. You know, even longtime Republican hawks on Capitol Hill are stunned by Trump's revisionist history and that Ukraine is to blame for the invasion of Russia. You saw that earlier in the show, this idea that it's somehow Russia is doing the right thing by attacking Ukraine after we pulled our intel capability. People are dying in Ukraine as we do this show, because we've stopped giving them intelligence about missile launches and Russian movements. Matter of fact, the very first place Russia targeted was a hotel holding international volunteers trying to help Ukraine. That's what happened when our government under Donald Trump pulled the intel. And so now even hawks in Congress are scared. They've been muzzled, they're tiptoeing. You saw this over and over. People on both sides who are normally part of the public dialogue about big issues are intimidated by the online attacks from Trump and, of course, Elon Musk, who owns X and isn't afraid to go after things. I mean, look at this. This is a great video today. This is just this morning. I think it was Morning Joe with Chris Hayes. And, Chris Hayes is getting older, but Chris Hayes has been on Capitol Hill a long freaking time. This is what he had to say about the fear on Capitol Hill.
But I think that you're right. The striking thing that's different about this Trump term is the way that there are so few guardrails here. Congress is remade in his image. The cabinet is remade in his image. Certainly all of his advisors in the White House. No longer are you seeing Reince Priebus playing against Steve Bannon, playing against Gary Cohn, Jared Kushner. Those fiefdoms are gone. What does that mean now from a policy output perspective, Chris? We're seeing that. Will Republicans ever find the line for pushback?
Well, he's taught the American people at the MAGA level what the truth is, as he knows the truth. He believes in tariffs. He says, I love the word tariffs. Who else loves the word tariffs? But he has said so. And the MAGA base is so with him, and the members of the Senate are so afraid of that base. That's what it comes down to. He gets the base, and the base tells the senators what to do. Capitol Hill, I was up there yesterday. It's different than it used to be. No one's in the House dining room. There's nobody getting together. The two parties don't meet each other. They don't even talk to each other. They go to their separate conferences. The Republican and Democratic conferences, they go to their fundraisers, and it's all about getting in touch with Donald Trump and the base. They are scared to death of the base, of the MAGA people.
Think about that. They're scared to death of the base. They're scared to death of MAGA. They're scared to death of their own people. They're scared to death of Elon Musk attacking them. That's what's going on in Washington. Thanks. That's the step 2, right? And look, anybody who studied this for a while, we knew this was coming, right? They told us they're going to do it. Project 2025 was there. We've got the leaders of Project 25 saying they're going to do it. And I got to tell you, the fear in federal workers is off the charts. Guys, every day I get messages from friends and contacts within the federal government, across government, from USAID, people are shocked their whole agency disappeared. VA workers who are literally spending all their time worried about their jobs instead of taking care of veterans. From FBI agents who contacted me, they spend all day waiting for some sort of perch online, for some chirp from online from Kash Patel and others. You know, it was bad during Trump 1. I think I've told the story before to you guys. During Trump 1, they actually had a person over at DOD whose job was to monitor Trump's Twitter feed. And that was when Mattis was in charge. Now they got Pete Hegseth. It's a whole different ballgame. And I'll show you some of that too. But this is what their plan was. And if you paid attention, you know this, because I know you probably saw this video. And this guy is now the head of Office of Management Budget. This is Russell Vought. And this is what Russell Vought had to say about a year and a half ago about their plans for the federal government.
We want the bureaucrats to be traumatically affected. We want, when they wake up in the morning, we want them to not want to go to work because they are increasingly viewed as the villains. We want their funding to be shut down so that the EPA can't do all of the rules against our energy industry because they have no bandwidth financially to do so.
What more do you need to hear? And that is exactly what's happened. They are traumatized. There was a report yesterday that 3 of the Social Security Administration people who have been fired already have committed suicide. That's what they want. Can you imagine America, the United States of America, which was once considered a shining beacon on the hill, is got governance, government officials whose goal is to terrorize government employees. That's what they're doing. And it's working. You know, if you know any government officials, any government employees, you've heard the stories already. They're terrified for their jobs. They're terrified to speak out. A contact of mine at VA tells me that their supervisor told them they're not allowed to contact their congressman anymore. Their congressman. If they do, they have to report it to their chain of command. Okay, that's fucking illegal. Okay? And then they came back later and said, well, never mind. You could talk to your congressman, but you can't identify yourself as a federal employee. Ridiculous. Okay? These are outright lies, all intimidating, all intimidation and fear to make people fear their lives. And that's what goes into bringing them back to work in offices where there's no space. There's reports now that some of these, they make everybody go back to work. There's reports there's no lighting in some of the buildings, no electricity. They've got people coming back with no heat. No desks, no internet. They want them to quit. They want them scared to quit. And look, DOD is getting into it too. This is remarkable. So this week, you may have heard this young lady, Kingsley something, who's got a history of anti-Semitic tweets. It appears she's also one behind this. DOD has now started a rapid response Twitter account that by all accounts is nothing more than a troll account on Twitter trying to drag people. And your friendly host here had the privilege and the honor to be the very first person the Twitter rapid response, DOD's rapid response ever attacked. And here it is right here. I called out Pete Hegseth for being a coward. After the Friday night massacre, when he fired 3, CQ Brown, Franchetti, and Sly for, the Air Force guy. But in addition to that, they fired all 3 of the judge advocate generals for the services. But Hegseth talks this big game about the warrior ethos and courage and being a tough guy. He likes to go run with the special ops guys. I pointed out that what kind of moral personal courage does it take to fire people in a press release after hours on a Friday night? And this unbelievably, DOD rapid response writes, "Dear Fred, please see SecDef full statement on the matter you seem very uninformed about. Thank you." The SecDef full statement is exactly the point I made, that it was a press release. But that's the Department of Defense, the most powerful military in the world. That's their answer to one, an American citizen, two, a retired armored colonel, three, a former spokesman for the United States Army. You don't think I know stuff about how it's supposed to work? This is sick, and it's meant to scare us. You see, they did that on purpose. And you can read the comment. You can go there and read it. Read the replies to that. Oh, this guy got owned. Boo, boo, boo. Oh, you're, all the kinds of disgusting words. Call me a pedo like they always do. I'm used to it by now. But they think it's intimidating to me. I don't give a shit about you. None of us give a shit about you. None of us who are fighting this pro-democracy movement give a damn about your stupid ex put out. Give me a break. Why do I give a flying shit about Twitter? But they want us to be scared. And the United States Department of Defense is trying to intimidate people like me, people who served our country for 22 years. They want me to pipe down. That is some sick shit. That is some sick shit. And that's our government right now. And it's just, I got nothing for it, right? So I guess that's step 3 then. And this is me just talking. They want us divided. And if you've listened to me before, you may have heard this before. If you read my Substack, you may have heard this before. And I'll just tell you what I think of it. The bottom line is here, their goal here is to divide us. They want us fighting each other. I'm an Iraq veteran. And when I was in Iraq, if you understand much about Iraq, there's 3 major cultures, communities that are divided beyond that. But as you know, it's Kurds in the north, Sunni, and Shia. And what Saddam did brilliantly was divide them against each other. So they fought each other. Everybody hated the Kurds. Sunni and Shia hate each other. Everybody fights each other all the time. And Saddam just floated above it all. They want us to fight, especially the veteran side. You'll see it. Any comment you put on a veteran, every time, like that video from Collins had a raft of comments from veterans saying, "This is great. I got turned down 10 years ago. It hasn't improved at all. We should just remake the whole thing." He's convincing people that firing 83,000 employees is going to make it better. It's a people business, okay? But by firing 83,000, it'll be more efficient. And they want and they're encouraging veterans to fight each other. They want us fighting each other. They want you and me fighting each other. They want us fighting the MAGA. And what I call that is, and what we say, so of course, every time you see a MAGA person say, "Oh, I was fooled. I wish I hadn't voted for him," of course, our natural response to the left is, "Well, you fucked around and you found out." I got no sympathy at FAFO. And I'm calling that the FAFO doom loop right now, okay? We are in a FAFO doom loop because nobody wins. No one's going to win, okay? If we fight each other all the time instead of them, that's the doom loop. And that's what they want. They want us chasing our tails, fighting each other online, hearing the comments in the video. They want us here telling each other I didn't vote for that shit, blah, 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 blah. I see it every time I post on Blue Sky, right? You guys follow me on Blue Sky, I hope. Every time I talk about veterans and stuff, I always get somebody, inevitably 10 or 12 people come, "Well, veterans voted for that." Fuck around and find out. I didn't vote for that. None of my friends did. But at this point, why does it matter? Okay? At this point, we're all suffering. And at some point, we're going to come together and fight these assholes, or we're going to lose everything. Okay? And so that's why I talk about the division doom loop, the FAFO doom loop. We could just go on forever hating on each other constantly. And I'm not saying go hug a MAGA. Oh, fuck no. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is we're going to have to ignore that shit, ignore your instincts to strike back and start saying, okay, good. Then you need to speak out. Because a lot of those folks are speaking out. They're going on TV. And that's who Donald Trump needs to hear from. That's who Elon Musk needs to hear from. And that's these goddamn congressmen need to hear from. They need to hear us loud and clear that we're not putting up their crap anymore. We're not going to be, buying into their bullshit. We're not accepting the fact that they think that we can be intimidated by them, okay? Because we're not. We're not. And they're going to have to figure that out because they think it's all fake, that we're all going to do that. We're all doing this, is that paid, actually, I think I have a clip, that's paid propagandists fighting them back. But the fact is the conservatives, the Republicans are scared of us too. And that's the key, isn't it? Yeah, they're scared of their MAGA base, but they're also starting to hear from us too. And they're worried about that. And they should be worried about that because you know what? They're about to find out themselves that we're not going to be intimidated into ending our democracy. Here's Johnson himself talking. You got to watch this clip.
But with regard to the town halls, look, I mean, we have Republicans who want to go out and be among their constituents and hear their concerns and dialogue with them. It's a big part of the job. But the problem is they're being ambushed right now by what are some, in many cases, paid protesters. You got George Soros-funded groups. They're very well organized. That's one thing Democrats do very well, is this organization, right? And they go in, they go an hour or two early before the event, they fill all the seats, and so the actual constituents of these Republican members can't actually make it into the arenas, and so it's not a productive dialogue at all. They're just walking into an ambush. So we've encouraged our members to think thoughtfully about that. There are a lot of ways now with technology to be in constant dialogue with your constituents. You can do telephone town halls and get 10,000 people on the phone at the same time. You can have small group meetings with industry or organization groups or various parts of your community, and it'd be very productive. So we want to do the job, do it well, do it efficiently and effectively, and walking into a staged production like that doesn't serve anyone's interest.
Whew! A lot of lies in 1 minute, right? Stage production, Soros-funded protesters. No, those are actual members of their district. You know, those are actual constituents of their district. Maybe they're Democrats. A lot of them are Republicans. I've seen the videos saying, hey, what are you doing to veterans? I'm a veteran. I'm a Republican. I voted for you. What are you doing to Republicans? You know, we could have teletown halls. We could have thousands. They're scared to death because they know we're on to them. And the division's failing. And that's why I brought that up. Look, you can watch the clips. I'm sure I got a clip here on my hard drive somewhere of these many town halls that have been held and that where people are screaming at these Republicans that run away, like the guy in Kansas last week, because they know it's not going to work. That's how we're going to win, you guys. Let's go to those town halls and let everybody yell at them, because the Republicans are figuring it out. Average Americans are figuring it out. They figured out that you're trying to lie to us. They figured out they're trying to scare us, and they're trying to divide us. And the way we fight back, don't buy it. Don't fall for it. Don't buy the lies. Don't buy the hate, okay, and the fear, and don't hate each other. So we're going to have to come together. And it's going to, and I mean that for Democrats too. There's a story today in the New York Times about how there's like 4 different approaches to fighting Donald Trump amongst the Democrats, from the pragmatic people to the fight everything people like me, to the, you know, to the getting along with them people. I don't know. I want to fight, and you want to fight. That's why you're here at the MeidasTouch Network and watching my show. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to have to do it together at some point. We're going to have to figure out a way to fight these bastards together. Otherwise, we're going to lose it all. And I'm not willing to lose it all. I dedicate my entire life to this country, my entire adult life, 20 years in the Army. And you all have done the same kind of sacrifices for your country in your own ways. You've got families and friends. You've been here for decades, generations. No, we're not walking away from this country and letting these assholes like that pipsqueak of a man, loser of a man who's afraid of his own constituents. No, they're not beating us that easily. So with that, I'll let you go. If you haven't tuned in to our On Democracy Sunday show, it's every Sunday live at 11 a.m. Eastern, right on the On Democracy channel on YouTube. Putting that up for you. On Democracy channel on YouTube. I'd love to have you join us. This week, we've got another great lineup. Billy Ray, who wrote Independence Day. My friend Harry Dunn joins us. We've got a terrific panel of folks to talk about Brain Injury Awareness Month and their unique experiences in journalism. We've got just a cool show. I hope you'll catch it every Sunday. In the meantime, of course, sign up for our Substack, follow us on our social media channels, and as always, be here every Friday night at 11 p.m. Eastern for the our exclusive MeidasTouch podcast, FP Wellman, with On Democracy with FP Wellman. I appreciate you guys. We're in the fight together, and we're gonna have to figure that out. That even if we have different opinion on policies or else, we're gonna have to fight this thing, and no one's gonna escape from this. We're all in this. So ignore the deception, ignore the freaking fear, ignore the division, and we will beat these bastards. I promise. See you again next week.